You know that feeling when your thoughts are just racing? A total chaotic storm of ideas that makes it pretty much impossible to focus? Well, today we're going to talk about building a mental roadmap to turn all that internal chaos into a concrete and really powerful problem solving tool. So let me ask you something and be honest. Have you ever been, deep in thought, wrestling with some complex problem, and then you suddenly realize you're talking to yourself out loud? Yeah, we've all been there. And it can feel a little weird. But what if I told you that little habit isn't a sign of distraction at all? Our source material today flips this whole idea on its head. Most people see it as just a quirky little distraction, but the truth, it's actually a high-level psychological tool. Seriously, this isn't just you talking. It's a super sophisticated technique for navigating immense cognitive complexity. To really get why this tool is so powerful, first we have to dig into the problem it's designed to solve. And for a lot of us, that problem is the relentless, just overwhelming storm of racing thoughts. I want you to imagine your mind is a massive warehouse, okay? It is filled to the ceiling with brilliant ideas, tons of data, all these potential solutions, but there's zero organization. It's pure chaos. Trying to find what you need in that mess? Basically impossible. Well, that's the state of abstract racing thoughts. So what even causes this? Well, a high-performance mind is literally wired to see every single angle, to process an immense amount of detail, and to weigh countless different outcomes. Now, this cognitive strength can sometimes look like indecisiveness to other people. And inside your own head, it just feels like your thoughts are racing. But here's the key. It is not a flaw. It's a feature of a powerful processor that just needs a better operating system. So if the problem is a chaotic warehouse of abstract ideas, what's the solution? How do we go about installing that new operating system? The answer, and this might be surprising, is a technique called verbal reasoning. So what exactly is verbal reasoning? It's simply the psychological process of turning your internal, abstract thoughts into actual spoken words. Just the simple act of speaking forces you to put a structure to your ideas, to clarify them. And that makes you a far more efficient problem solver. So how does it work? It's this brilliant three-step process. First, it helps you focus the noise. Saying a thought out loud is like a filter. It pushes aside all the mental chatter so you can make smarter, clearer decisions. Second, it builds structural integrity. See, an idea in your head is abstract, it's fuzzy, but a spoken sentence, it has logic, it moves that idea into a concrete system. And finally, all this leads to deeper thinking. By getting your thoughts out there, you free up cognitive space to connect really complex ideas without distraction. Now, let's see how this one technique actually builds into something much bigger. We're not just talking about a mental trick here. This is a key part of what our source calls the architecture of success. At its core, this whole thing is about mental efficiency. It's about becoming the architect of your own thought process. It's about using the incredibly powerful mind you already have in the most effective way possible, and not letting its own complexity become a roadblock. This really points to a crucial mindset shift. So many of us look for external validation, right? We're always seeking others' opinions or needing that digital approval online. Verbal reasoning helps you develop an internal compass. You become your own sounding board. You start judging your progress against your own internal standards, your own logical blueprints, not the court of public opinion. And here's the critical point. It all comes down to prioritizing substance over status. The real work, the really heavy mental lifting, that's done in the privacy of your own mind. And the achievements that come from that, they're real. They're valid on their own, whether they get broadcast to the world or not. Okay, so let's bring all this together now and talk about what it means to build your own mental roadmap. The next time you catch yourself talking through a problem, please don't stop. Recognize it for what it truly is. You're decoding your own mind. You are building a life based on substance, on structured thinking, and on real internal security. You're the one holding the blueprints. I absolutely love this final metaphor from our source because it just captures the idea so perfectly. Using verbal reasoning is like installing a high-precision GPS inside a massive, chaotic construction site. While everybody else is just wandering around lost in the dust and scaffolding, you have a clear, audible guide that makes sure every single piece is placed with absolute purpose. And that leaves us with one final, and I think really empowering question. You have the tool, you have the mind, and you are holding the blueprints. The only question left is what will you build with them?